Thomas had always been a proud man. Not arrogant, just firm, strong. The type who believed emotions were weaknesses and vulnerability made you fragile. He worked hard, kept his family fed, and didn't complain, and expected the same from everyone else, including his wife, Clara. They had been married for 19 years. The first 10 were filled with warmth, shared dreams, long walks in the evenings, and whispered prayers before bed. But over time, things changed. Life pressed harder. Money came in slower. And then, Clara got sick. It started with fatigue, then pain in her joints, then long days in bed. Doctors said it was autoimmune, progressive, incurable. Medications helped for a while. Then, they didn't. Thomas took care of her, at first. But slowly, the weight grew heavier. The laundry, the appointments, the silence, the constant stillness of a woman who used to light up every room. He didn't know how to talk about it, and she didn't know how to ask for more. So they drifted, not in one loud moment, but in 100 quiet ones. One night, after another long day of work and caring for her without thanks or affection, Thomas stood at the doorway of their bedroom, looking at her frail form under the blankets. And something broke in him. "I can't do this anymore," he whispered, more to himself than to her. He left the next morning. He didn't leave town, just moved in with a friend from work. Told himself he needed space, that she had family who could step in, that maybe she didn't love him anymore anyway. He never visited, never called, only sent money from time to time, as if that could cover the cost of what he'd done. Weeks became months, then years. He tried to rebuild his life, but nothing quite fit. Every room he entered felt too quiet, every conversation too shallow. And sometimes, in those moments between sleep and waking, he would swear he heard her calling his name. He ignored it, buried it, until one morning, he got a call from Clara's sister. "She's gone," she said simply. His heart stopped. They buried her on a Tuesday. He stayed at the back of the service, unsure if he even deserved to be there. Her family didn't say much to him, but no one told him to leave either. He watched as they lowered her into the ground, the wind carrying the scent of lilacs, her favorite flower, through the air. After the service, Clara's sister approached him. "She left something for you," she said, holding out a worn journal. "She told me to give it to you if you ever came back." That night, Thomas sat on his bed, staring at the journal for hours before opening it. The first page read, "For the one I loved until the end, even when he couldn't stay." His hands trembled. The journal wasn't filled with complaints or bitterness. It was full of prayers. She had prayed for his peace, for his rest, for his healing, for his return, not to her bedside, but to himself. She wrote that she knew he was tired, that she saw how the illness had drained the joy from their home, that she didn't blame him for leaving. "I just hope he knows," one entry said, "that I never stopped loving him, and that I forgave him the moment he walked out the door." Thomas couldn't breathe. The tears came heavy, ugly. Decades of pride and silence shattered in one night. He pressed the journal to his chest and wept, not just for her death, but for the man he had become, the love he had walked away from, the grace he didn't deserve but had still been given. Days turned to weeks. Thomas began volunteering at a hospice center, quietly, in the background, folding sheets, bringing water, reading to patients who couldn't hold books anymore. He didn't talk about Clara, but every time he sat beside someone in pain, he felt her hand guiding his. Every time he whispered a prayer, he knew she'd prayed one like it before him. Pride had made him walk away, but her love, her prayers, had brought him home again. Not to her, but to the man he was always meant to be. Regret is the sharpest teacher. It cuts deep, and it doesn't let you forget. But sometimes, if you let it, regret can also be the road to redemption. Because the deepest regret doesn't have to be the end. It can be the beginning of something softer, something true, something holy.